folks, there is so much excitement right now around Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. Uh, Finally, for the first time in a long time, there's a whole lot of us that are starting to feel hopeful again. We're feeling like, hey, our voices is being heard too. One of MAGA's biggest talking points for the longest time is that their voices weren't heard. And I've always argued that they're the loudest group of people out there. No one is shouting louder than MAGA, and no one is actually persecuting MAGA. It's all made up fictional wars that Donald Trump created. Right-wing talking heads comes up with every culture war they can come up with in order to get MAGA feeling like they're fighting for something. And the whole thing is just really sad. What we look for in a leader is someone who will bring people together. And we want someone that will bring all walks of life together and not just people that looks and sounds like us. And that's what we have now with Harris and Walz. They're out there. You've got Kamala Harris and you've got Tim Walz, the Midwestern dad that everyone loves, the Midwestern dad that you didn't lose to Fox News. I mean, we got a lot to be excited about. And this next clip of Kamala Harris is one of the main reasons why we love her so much, because she realizes that a true leader brings people together. Take a look.
And that's what this campaign is about. This campaign is about a recognition that, frankly, over the last several years, there's been this kind of perversion that has taken place, I think, which is to suggest that the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, when what we know is the real and true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. Yeah. That's what we see as strength. We know what strength looks like. That's what strength looks like. Anybody who's about beating down other people is a coward. This is what strength looks like.
I posted a meme a while back on social media that said, "Make America joyful again." And a troll chimed on to say, "What have we got to be joyful about? What's there to be happy about?" I guess nothing if you've been listening to Donald Trump for the last 8 years. I guess if you've been in that echo chamber listening to how bad the world is, then there's no way that you can see just how good we actually do have it right here in the United States. And Kamala is absolutely spot on right there. A true leader lifts people up. A true leader doesn't divide, and a true leader doesn't punch down to people they disagree with. A true leader also doesn't say, "I need immunity in order to be able to do my job." If they say that, what they're telling you is they have to be able to break the rules in order to do their job, so that's not really the flex that anyone thinks it is. But it got me to thinking a whole lot when I heard that clip, because we get excited and we get joyful over a leader like Kamala Harris and a leader like Tim Walz stepping up and going to bat for people like us and for everyone, not just people like us. So I got to thinking a whole lot about what it would be like to be a Trump supporter, what it would be like to be a MAGA right now. You would think that the entire world was out to get you. You would think that the entire system was rigged against you. You wouldn't trust science. You wouldn't trust medicine. You wouldn't trust facts or information. Your whole world would revolve around this idea that you were being persecuted and that you were being, manipulated by the media and manipulated by scientists and manipulated by doctors and manipulated by politicians who had a differing viewpoint. And this is something that we've not really seen ever before in American history. Don't get me wrong. We've been divided before over elections. But this go around, Donald Trump has sown so much distrust in the media and in our democracy and in science and in medicine. He's sowed so much distrust, and he's punched down so hard, and he's riled up the wrong kind of people for the wrong reasons. And so when people says to us, "What do you have to be joyful about?" Well, because we have a great ticket on our side of the aisle that's going to be going to bat for everybody and not just a few of them. I am a straight, white, middle-aged dude from East Tennessee, okay? When I'm hearing Kamala Harris speak or Tim Walz speak or any Democratic politician for that matter, if I'm listening to them speak and they suddenly start talking about the struggles of Black Americans, I don't get offended. I don't feel like they're taking a shot at me, and I don't feel like that they're discrediting anything that I'm going through. I feel like we're all in it together. When I hear Kamala Harris or Tim Walz talking about the gay and trans community, I'm not gay or trans, but I don't get offended when I hear them talking about the things they're going to do for them. I don't feel that that's some sort of punching down at me or that I'm being excluded. And when I hear them talk about different groups of people, I mean, when I hear them talk about immigrants coming across the border, I'm not that, but I don't hear Kamala Harris and Tim Walz punching down at them. I don't hear them demonizing them and vilifying them for looking for a better way to come into this country. So when you ask what do we have to be joyful about, we're joyful because we're so sick and tired of the cruelty, and we're so sick and tired of the hateful rhetoric that Donald Trump has just festered in this country. And like I said, he got the wrong people riled up for the wrong reasons, and it's going to take us years to fix the mess that he's left behind. I mean, he's running for a rematch. He's running to be reelected, but he's already done so much damage to our democracy and so much damage to people's trust in anything. He has sown the seeds of distrust and he's sown the seeds of chaos. And when you sow those two things and those two things grows together, you're just going to have a bunch of unreasonable people fighting battles that was never theirs to fight to begin with. It had nothing to do with them whatsoever. When I see people in my part of the world who are struggling to make ends meet, and I see them getting all caught up in these culture wars, things that's never going to affect them, things that's never going to come knocking at their door. And guess what? Even if something you don't like does come to your town, you have the freedom to not go to it. You have the freedom to not take part in it. And if you want to say something about it, you're more than welcome to. You know, it's this idea that they're the ones persecuted and that everyone's out to get them is just a bullshit narrative that the right manufactured. And they did so to keep those people voting against their own interest. And I know so many people right here in my part of the world who are hardcore Trumpers. They back him 100%. They back his cruelty. At the same time, they have a gay son or daughter. And they will say to you, and I don't say it about gay people because my son or my daughter's that way. Or they'll say, don't say anything about black people because my son or daughter is married to one. They'll say those kind of things. And then they get on social media and they post all this hateful and cruel rhetoric. And then they sit back and wonder why it was kind of awkward at Thanksgiving. They sit back and wonder why their kids don't come around. They sit back and wonder why that people really don't want to talk to them or have nothing to do with them. Well, that's why. Because you are backing a man who loves to punch down. And we're backing a woman and a man who is punching for everyone, who is fighting for everyone and bringing people together from all walks of life because we're all Americans, folks. We're all that, okay? And to sit and demonize someone else just because you disagree with the way they live or disagree with the way they vote or disagree with the way that they think, that's not what we're about. That's not what we were ever supposed to be. You want a leader who unites people. You want a leader who brings people together. Say what you will about George W. Bush. I know things went off the rails with the Iraq War, but after 9/11, right there in that moment, if he could have kept that bottled up that he came out with right there, he might have been okay. He tried his best, though, at that particular moment. You got to give it to him in that one little moment. He tried his damnedest to bring us together. And I remember growing up, seeing his father try to bring us together, seeing Ronald Reagan try to bring us together, seeing people like that reach across the aisle. That's something else you don't see anymore. You don't see the reaching across the aisle because Trump has already demonized the other side of the aisle so much. So to the people that says both sides are the same, or I'll argue all day long that we're not, because on our side we have someone fighting for everyone and we're okay with it. We're perfectly okay with it. We welcome it and we want it to happen. I couldn't sit here, folks, and embrace someone who was only defending people that looked and sounded like me and was punching down at everyone else. I couldn't get behind that, and that's got nothing to do with Democrats, got nothing to do with Republicans. That's just something I personally could never, ever get behind. And so it's not, again, it's not about the political labels like people think. It's when I look over and see Donald Trump punching down at everyone he disagrees with and riling up the hateful people and riling up the hate groups and sending dog whistles to those people and giving them a platform and making them feel and seem important. Do you realize the people he has empowered that had reached a point where a lot of them was like, we can't say anything. And then he gave them all the power in the world to say it. And it's going to take years to go back to making racists afraid again, letting them know that if they say those things, we're going to hold them accountable. You got freedom of speech, but you You don't have freedom from accountability. I love the fact that we're going to have a Madam Vice President and a Vice President who is going to be going to work for all of us, a true leader who is going to be fighting for all of us and not just a few. I'm excited about that. And I think it's sad that so many people succumb to Donald Trump and his hateful rhetoric. It's truly sad that so many people bought into that garbage, because I think at heart a lot of them were decent people to start with, and they just got caught up in something, swept away, and I'm sure most of the things I've said in this video is they're just shaking their fist at the screen because how dare you, Brando, stand up for somebody that don't look like you. I've had so many people say, we thought you was one of us, man. We used to see you out at the bar drinking a beer with us. We thought you was one of us. No, I was never a hateful prick, ever, and I'm never going to be, so get over it.